This is the December general meeting of Swing Left Peninsula. We have a big agenda, and we want to go right to it. So the first thing we always do in our general meetings is encourage you to sign up for our next general meeting. And in January, we're going to get our first briefing of the cycle from the ground in Arizona. Arizona, as you know, is a critical battleground state in 2024. There's a lot going on there. We'll be hearing from people who can explain to us that they may have an abortion rights ballot initiative, other things who can explain to us the importance of the Senate races, what's happening there. So we hope you'll sign up for that meeting in January. It's I think it's January 16th. There'll be a link in the chat. And we always try to spend a lot of time in these meetings talking about good news. So how the work we do translates into wins, and we don't think you hear about that enough in your regular life, so we try to really spend some time on that in our meetings, and we're going to do that tonight. And as part of that, we're joined by friends from North Carolina. We're thrilled to have here, and they're going to tell us about the elections in North Carolina in November of 2023, really game-changing. And then we're going to spend a time with, actually this says Hillary Barrett, but we have in Hillary's stead Sean Hoey from the Biden-Harris campaign in Nevada is going to tell us what's happening on the ground there and how we can help. As many of you know, Swing Left Peninsula works year in and year out in Arizona, who we'll hear from next month, and also Nevada, and then also the Central Valley. And this is our first briefing about the 2024 situation on the ground in Nevada. We'll have Q&A with Sean. And then we'll have even more good news and more ways for you to get involved toward the end of the meeting. So to start off our good news, I want to play a clip for you of Sam Cornale, who's the executive director of the Democratic National Committee, and he was addressing a gathering of Simon Rosenberg's Hopium community in December after the November election. So he was talking to a group of activists and organizers, a lot like all of us. Some of us were there. And I think it's really important to hear from the Democratic National Committee about complimenting us on our work. And I'll just go ahead and play the clip. Whoops. First I have to share my screen. Here it is. Can everyone see that?
To communicate is my genuine gratitude and appreciation and really awe for what you all and Simon in particular have built. And none of the wins of the last 6 years, and there have been a lot, we are winning a lot. And you wouldn't know that sometimes when you read the press or, the newspaper or turn on CNN, but we are winning a lot. And in some really tough races, despite what all the pundits and pollsters say, we are winning and we are delivering results. But none of that would be possible without all of you. And without the movement you represent and the values that you've brought to bear, whether it's making phone calls or through an organization or just showing up to a field office or giving money, whatever your fight is, it matters. And I see it. And I think that all too frequently.
Okay, so again, that's Sam Cornale, the Democratic National Committee, addressing the grassroots. And okay, can everyone see the agenda slide again? Okay, great. And so I'm going to move on to some of the winning that Sam was talking about specifically that we all worked on, people on this call. So in 2023, we elected Judge Jana Protasewicz in Wisconsin. She's now Justice Protasewicz. And we beat back an anti-democratic impeachment attempt. As soon as she won the election, the Republicans in Wisconsin started talking about impeaching her before she had heard a single case. I think maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they might have been able to do it, but there was so much attention paid in Wisconsin and so much pressure brought to bear on the Republicans that they didn't try to do it. And that's a testament to our power and our influence. Secondly, we protected abortion access in Ohio twice, really. And the second time in November, we did it in the face of incredible disinformation coming straight from official state agencies and people, like the Secretary of State. And that was because of the work that we did to make sure voters were aware and knew what the stakes were. Thirdly, we flipped the House in Virginia, and we held the Senate. So there's now a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House in Virginia, which means that abortion access in one of the last states in the South where it exists is protected. And at the same time, we've damaged Governor Youngkin's presidential hopes. If he had done well, if the Republicans had done well in that election, we'd probably be seeing him running for president in 2024 or later. And then lastly, and thrillingly, and you really don't hear a lot about this, Democrats won municipal and school board elections nationwide. Many, many Moms for Liberty type candidates were defeated. Many, many Democratic municipal races were won. Municipal races were won by Democrats. And that's just incredibly important. It means there are people all like you and me all over the country working at all levels to lift up to win those races. And I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague Bruce, who's going to introduce our first guests from North Carolina.
Yeah,
Bruce,
thanks, Laura. So I'm really excited to introduce Huntersville's new mayor, Christy Clark, and Jeff Bloom, who's leader of All In for North Carolina. Huntersville is kind of a lab rat, or for a cheerier analogy, a Pillsbury doughboy for organizing Democrats and turning out the vote. We got to poke at it in a good way, see what happened, and understand the impact we activists can have in local elections. So Swing Left Peninsula raised money to help organize Democrats and like-minded people in Mecklenburg County. We joined with All In for North Carolina and made calls into Huntersville, the second largest town in the county, every week. First to invite people to organizing meetings, and then in the weeks before the election to make sure people turned out and knew who to vote for. We also sent letters into Huntersville. Ultimately, Democrats swept the 6-member town Board of Commissioners and elected Democrat Christy Clark as mayor. We've asked Mayor Clark and Jeff Bloom to tell us how her impact was felt from the inside. So Mayor Clark, thank you so much for being here.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Hello from North Carolina. I want to first start off by expressing my gratitude to everyone who wrote letters and made phone calls and donated money to help us flip the town board in Huntersville, North Carolina. If you don't know where Huntersville is, it is just north of the city of Charlotte. And so we are like the 16th largest municipality in the state, and the one, like, depending on the day, the 3rd or 4th fastest growing municipality in the state as well. And so up until this past election, we have previously had almost a near majority of Republican holding seats on our mayor and town board seats. In the past 2 years, we were able to flip one seat and have one Democrat on the town board. But thanks to all the help that y'all gave us, we were actually able to make history this year. And we have now a Democratic mayor, and all 6 seats are Democrats. We have, for the first time ever, 2 people of color, and made history again by having the very first Black woman elected to the town commission. And so we have really, truly made history in North Carolina with your help by doing that, which is what we wanted to do. We had high hopes with your help that we would get maybe 4 or 5 of the seats. So we were very pleased on election night when the results started rolling in, and we were the top 6 for the commission. And my split of there were 3 candidates for mayor was much higher than we had anticipated. Our voter turnout was also much higher this time around than we've had in previous cycles. We know that's in part due to the support that y'all gave to us and others gave around to get people excited to vote. And that image they showed was our blue ballot, which we handed out at doors, we handed out at early voting, and we mailed to about 8,000 Democrats in Huntersville for the first time ever also. And so what does this mean for Huntersville? It means a lot. We're one of the only municipalities that does not have a non-discrimination ordinance on our books. And so that's something that we'll be working on to protect not only our LGBTQ community, but people of color and veterans from discrimination in our community. And because of the way our supermajority Republicans have done it here, that does not happen at the state. Each municipality has to do it. On our very first day, we authorized the hiring of 16 full-time firefighters, which if you live in a big city in California, you like, what the heck, what does this mean? Well, in the South, you know, that it's been volunteer firefighters for a long time. We were the only municipality of our size not to have our own municipal fire department, which we will be having in the new year. They're building that as we go now. So that is a huge accomplishment for us to have that ability to have that on the agenda. And so what we've been told with our group of people that got elected by the town manager and others is that it's been the smoothest transition into a new mayor and new town commissioners, because we are a cohesive group. We all have the same vision. We all have the same goals for building a Huntersville that has an idea for affordable housing and environmental sustainability and public safety, and working together with transparency to, you know, let our community be involved and know what's going on. Our previous board was not a cohesive group, and that was something you could feel it on the dais when they would get up there. And so now people can say they can see that we're cohesive and we have a positive and clear vision for Huntersville. And that is something we were very excited about. So we just had our second meeting yesterday, where we were able to, we did some appointments for committees, and it went very smoothly. And they actually told us that was the smoothest appointment of committee members that they'd ever had before. And that's due in large part to the group of us working together, having this positive and, you know, really powerful influence to get elected. And then we just know how to work together and get things done. So in the coming year, there will be things, first on our deck is taking advisory opinions for affordable housing, which we also are one of the only municipalities in the state that has not addressed affordable housing. And so that's something, attainable, affordable workforce. We're not sure what we're going to call it, but what we know is that we're going to make it easier for housing to be built here that is accessible for our workforce. So that is a top priority for us. And then, of course, the non-discrimination order. And then we were super excited about having this environmental sustainability program brought to our town that was tabled by the last board. And that will be something where we're going to audit our town and see what we're doing well and what we're not doing. And we're going to bring pollinator gardens, protecting our tree canopy, making sure that we're doing all the things we need to do to protect the environment in our small town, and as one of the last ones to think about environmental sustainability. And so all of these things are possible because of the help that you gave us. And we are so grateful for that. We are a 2-year cycle, so we will be back running again very soon. But I do appreciate what you're doing for the next coming cycle for the state legislature and the presidency. Obviously, that's going to be hugely important. In North Carolina, we have a preemption law, so we can't do a lot about issues like abortion and gun safety. But there are some things we can do around zoning to get rid of what they call crisis pregnancy centers here, which are fake pregnancies. And I'm going to target them with some zoning and advocate for some safe gun storage practices here that I can do as a mayor and as a future member of Mayor Against Illegal Guns. And so all those things would never have been possible before, would never have happened with a fully Republican board. And so we are so grateful to you for all your help. And I hope you'll keep an eye on Huntersville. I think we'll probably make the news every once in a while because we're going to be doing big things and we're shaking things up with our energy and positivity and just ready to get to work action that we are not cautious, we're brave, and we're going to forge ahead with courage. So thank you so much. I'll let my friend Jeff wrap up, but thank you again. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm easy to find at christyclarknc.com. Thank you.
It will come as no surprise, having just heard the mayor, that while a great slate of people did run, without Mayor Clark, that slate would never have come together without her willingness to step up and run for mayor. She's a former state representative, knocked off an incumbent Republican and then lost. Her campaign manager in 2018 is now trying to knock off Trish Cotham, the Republican who switched parties, also in Mecklenburg County. So keep your eye on that one too. There'll be a team. But really, leadership is people stepping up and exercising political skills that they've built. The mayor was a gun safety activist before she was an elected official. So I just want to make clear, as you said in your introduction, there are local people running all over the country, and they're making a difference, and they're the future people going up the chain. What did we do? And you all at Springwell Peninsula were very much part of it. You stepped up, Laura and Bruce and the rest of you, just in amazing ways as postcard writers or letter writers, really, and donors and organizers and part of our phone bank. We decided to target Mecklenburg County. We at All In for North Carolina. We're an out-of-state group. We're like you, except we only do North Carolina. So we're totally focused on that. And we decided this year that we wanted to focus in one area. We wanted our out-of-state people to feel connected to a local area because we thought that would actually keep them coming back more and more. But we needed a partner on the ground. And fortunately, in April, a brand new leadership got elected at the County Democratic Party, Drew Cromer, who's all of 26. And he wanted to organize, and he wasn't ready. He didn't have the capacity. So we partnered. Beginning July 2nd through actually after the election, we made 10,025 phone calls. We had 1,365 conversations. That's 13.5% conversation rate, which, as you know, is quite good. Doing these kind of volunteer recruitment phone calls, for those of you who are like, oh, phone calls, they're so depressing. These aren't depressing, folks. We were calling 98 plus Ds and saying, we're the Mecklenburg Democratic Party, want to come to a meeting and meet some other Democrats. And they're like, what? You're the who calling me to do what? We got about 700 yes or maybes. The party in the election, having had no staff and no volunteer operation in 2022, and turnout in the county showed it, the party had 657 volunteers starting from 0 on July 1st. We don't actually know how many of them came through our phone banks, but we know that we were the single largest group calling for volunteers with local people. They created a wonderful concept called area coordinators so that the precinct captains didn't have to feel alone if they had like one Democrat who was active. They grouped them together. It was smart. 150 of those people canvassed in Huntersville, 100 of whom don't live in Huntersville. That was part of what Bruce called the Pillsbury Doughboy theory, was like, could we get people to go someplace where they needed to go because the party leadership said, this is the strategic place to go? And the answer was yes. So we also raised, beginning in June and again through December, many of you were part of it, we raised about $180,000 for the county party. It gave them enough money to hire a wonderful executive director who now has 3 staff under her. 9 months ago, this party had 0 staff. And this is the county with the largest number of Democrats in North Carolina, and yet it has the 93rd worst Democratic turnout in the state last year. You're not going to be able to get this all done just on volunteers. And so we raised the money and we're working with them again. We will be back starting next month with our volunteer recruitment phone banks. We hope to see some of you on them when you're not busy in the western part of the United States saving democracy. And as the mayor said, there are big state legislative, governor, presidential races in North Carolina. We believe, and Joe Biden believes, that he can carry North Carolina in 2024 if there's enough organizing. And none of us is ever enough, but we're part of it. So thank you so much for being a really important part of that. We look forward to continuing to work together.
Excellent. So Mayor Clark and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And going to turn now to Nevada. And Sean Hoey is with us. He's the general election director for the Biden-Harris campaign in Nevada. He served as the Nevada Democratic Victory's deputy executive director during the 2022 election cycle, and he worked on Biden's 2020 campaign. And I'm looking forward to Sean giving us insights on what's happening in Nevada in this election year. So, Sean, welcome.
Thanks, Bruce, and thank you everyone for letting me join you. I'm really excited to speak with you. First, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the work you did for us in Nevada in 2022. As Bruce mentioned, I was with Nevada Democratic Victory in 2022, which was an entity that was our coordinated campaign entity that was working to elect Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. As you all know, that was a very close race that led to 50 votes for Democrats in the United States Senate, which is obviously hugely important and allowed us to maintain a lot of the progress that we saw in 2021 and 2022 under President Biden and the leadership of Democrats in Washington. That would have been possible without you all. So thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart for participating. And I also want to say thank you again in advance for the work that you're going to do in 2024. I think as we look ahead at the election map and the cycle for 2024, it is going to be an incredibly tough race. A couple of things that I'll share, off the top of the bat is that, Nevada has elected Democrats traditionally over the last many, many decades. That's not because I think the state is relatively naturally blue leaning. It is a very well-organized state. And actually, there are a lot of indicators that we are losing ground for Democrats in Nevada. There are a couple of things that I could talk about to share that. But I think one point to make is that, of the core six, I think what I would call the core several battleground states that had statewide elections in 2022, Nevada was the only state that lost ground to its margin for Democrats in 2020. So that's to say that while every other state improved upon the work that it did in 2020, Nevada went from a margin for 2.5 points for President Biden in 2020 to a margin under 1%. Catherine Cortez Masto won re-election by just under 8,000 votes in 2022, and we actually lost our incumbent Democratic governor. And furthermore, there's never been a Democrat who's been elected to the presidency in recent history who hasn't carried Nevada. We have to carry Nevada to make sure that not only that we reelect President Biden, but also we maintain 50 votes in the United States Senate. Our incumbent Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen, while maybe not as high profile as Catherine Cortez Masto's race in 2022, is really critical to making sure that we maintain those 50 votes in the United States Senate. And that is going to be a very tough race, by the way. It is going to be a very close race. But also our incumbent Democrats in Congress, all of whom have really tough re-elections up for them, and majorities in the legislature that we currently have to hold our governor accountable, our Republican governor accountable. And so, I'll just end by saying that Nevada is a really tough state. I've worked all over the country. I've worked in Iowa. I've worked in Wisconsin. I've worked in Georgia. I've worked in North Carolina. Nevada is a very, very tough state, and it requires a lot of help to win. But we're also a small state, which is something that's really exciting. We only have 4 congressional districts, and we can talk to hundreds of thousands of voters in an election cycle. That's a huge percentage of the voters who will cast their ballots in Nevada in 2024 and have traditionally. And so the work that you do to connect with voters, to remind them to get out to vote for Democrats is incredibly impactful. And so, as I've told Judith and others with you all, we are going to be running a really robust operation to incorporate volunteers from Nevada and across the country. And we are really counting on your support to make sure that we can repeat the narrow victory that we achieved in 2022, but we cannot do it with your help. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you, hopefully several more times in the next several months as we lead up to November of next year. But I will pause there. I'll turn it back over to you, Bruce, and I'm happy to take questions if now is appropriate, or wait until another time.
Thank you, Sean. I'm actually going to jump in. I have the questions hat on for this meeting. So please put your questions for Sean in the chat, and I have a couple just of my own that I wanted to start with. Is there going to be a reproductive rights measure on the ballot in Nevada in 2024?
That's a great question. Right now, there will be a reproductive rights ballot measure on the ballot in Nevada in 2024, which is really important. Nevada is an incredibly pro-choice state, not just among Democrats and nonpartisans, but also it's true of Republicans in the state as well. Abortion is incredibly popular in Nevada, and so it's going to, if it is passed, it will obviously be really important for protecting women in this state, but it is also going to be a really powerful tool to turn voters out in 2024 in Nevada.
And what is the law and access on the ground in Nevada like now? I don't actually know what the state of play is today.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. We have certain rights that are actually enshrined in or for women in our in legislation in our statute, but it is not part of the Constitution. And so we are pushing for constitutional changes to protect the right for women.
Okay, let's see. We have a couple of questions in the chat. Why is it that Democrats are losing ground in Nevada? And do we know? And what will turn that around in 2024?
I think there are a couple of things that we can talk about. Nevada is just generally a really, really tough state. Nevada is an incredibly working class state that, as you all know, Democrats have faced a series of challenges with working class voters in across the country. And so reconnecting with those voters is incredibly important. We also had really challenging economic circumstances in Nevada in 2020 and after. I think this is, of course, something that is felt across the country, but I think folks maybe from out of state don't really realize how much tourism and hospitality is, how critical that is to our economy. And when COVID put an end to the work that was going on the Strip in 2020, that put a lot of people out of work. And we are still recovering from that. Nevada still has the highest unemployment rate of any state in the country. And so, there's just a lot of work that we need to do to connect with voters and to make sure that they understand that Joe Biden is looking out for them and is the right choice for them in 2024.
And so obviously the Biden-Harris campaign, not the campaign, the administration has done incredible things to invest all over the country, right? Is some of that investment happening in Nevada in ways that we'll be able to highlight for voters?
Yeah, there are a ton of ways, and I'm really excited about the campaign so that we can really, I think a goal of the campaign needs to be connecting voters with the accomplishments that are impacting their communities. For instance, the president was here just a week or two ago to talk about the unveiling of a high-speed rail line that will go from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It's going to be the first high-speed rail line that is on this side of the Mississippi. That's going to bring more tourism to Nevada. That's going to create more jobs in Nevada. That's just one of many projects that we're looking forward to highlighting and connecting with voters on.
And then for out-of-state volunteers, Swing Left Peninsula grew up concentrating on, our closest swing areas, which are Nevada, the Central Valley, and Arizona. But we now have actually members from all over the country. And increasingly, groups like ours are working on races all over the country. So what would be your recommendation for people who are keeping an eye on that? How do people from out of state work with groups in Nevada? So I'm sure Judith will talk about the phone banks and so forth that are available, but is there more stuff you want that nationwide community to know about how they can plug in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say a couple of things. One, I am just getting started in my role. I was just announced about a week ago, that I'm stepping into this role. And so I first have to hire some people to help me scale this program, to help get you all involved. That being said, there are a couple of things that you can do. One is if you want to make sure that you're hearing updates from us, from organizers, you can go to nvdems.com and click on get involved. I believe the button says get involved to sign up to volunteer. That's one thing that you can do. But two, like I was saying earlier, we're really looking forward to your partnership and frankly need your partnership to win in 2024 in Nevada. And so I'm looking forward to reconnecting with Judith and the leadership here over the next couple of weeks in the new year to talk more specifically about how we can be partners. And I'm sure you'll be hearing those updates from the campaign, but also from Judith and from you all. So look out for more from us.
Yeah, so let me underscore that. I mean, you can always, you don't need to stay in touch with Sean directly. You can also always stay in touch with Swing Left Peninsula, and we'll be plugging you into those opportunities. Sean, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to your new role. We appreciate the update. And we are, unless you have any closing remarks, I'm going to move on to our next organizing thing.
No, just thank you again. And like I said, there will be a call to action from me and the campaign in Nevada really soon. And I am just looking forward to you all answering it, and have a good rest of your evening. And thanks for having me.
Wonderful. We will stay tuned. And I am now going to turn it over to Judith Bolker, one of our Swing Left Peninsula co-leaders, but she does so much more than that. And she's going to brief you on some of the other stuff that Swing Left Peninsula is working on and ways you can get involved right now. And I'm going to share my screen again. And here we are.
All right. So moving a little bit west from Nevada, I'm going to start out by talking about California and the California Central Valley, specifically CD 22 and CD 13. So unusually, we have started forever organizing in California. We used to parachute into the district every 4 years, but we are at it now. We already started organizing early in 2023. So because of that, 2023 has been a very busy year. Central Valley Matters raised money. It raises money for nonpartisan organizations strictly in California District 22. So these organizations that Central Valley supports help to register voters. They're nonpartisan, but they register voters. They support civic engagement. They help with food banks, with information about COVID, with clean water, among many other things. Swing Left Peninsula is a sponsor for Central Valley Matters, and we are so proud to say that we helped raise $170,000 in December for 4 amazing organizations. We've also been registering voters in the Central Valley since February of 2023 and are continuing into 2024. We've already registered 2,000 voters, and we encourage you to join us to help register more voters. Colleges are starting their winter semester on January 16th. We have voter reg drives scheduled at Modesto Junior College, Los Banos College, and College of the Sequoias. And Richard is putting the links in chat so you can sign up to participate in one of these voter registration drives. I had somebody ask me, hey, do college students want to talk to gray-haired canvassers? And the answer, I am happy to say, is yes. So in August, we were at Junior College of Modesto, and we registered 249 students in one day at Modesto Junior College. So it's pretty exciting, and we hope that you can join us. Our goal, we'd really like to hit 5,000 newly registered voters. We've already started canvassing in CD 22 and CD 13. And in fact, we've been so productive, we have already knocked on 2,614 doors, and we just started in October. So what are we talking about when we're knocking on doors? We don't really have candidates yet because the primary is March 5th. Well, we're asking people about their issues and what their concerns are. This is really important information for the candidates. We're also identifying strong and lean Democrats. We're asking for volunteers, and we are asking at the door if there's anybody in the house that needs to register to vote. So we also have 3-day trips, canvassing trips scheduled throughout the year. And why 3 days? Well, CD 22 is a 4-hour drive from the Bay Area. For anyone traveling to CD 22 to canvass, once you sign up, you're contacted by one of our concierges. They'll help you arrange transportation. If you need a carpool, or if you want to drive, they can help get people to ride down with you. They will arrange your stay either through supporter housing or a stay at a hotel. We offer stipends to help pay for your overnight stay, as well as to pay for your gas. The concierge arranges dinner with your fellow canvassers or can provide a list of great restaurants in the area. We want you to say that you had an amazing experience and that you enjoyed it so much that you want to come back again. So we want to make sure your experience is both fruitful, knocking on a lot of doors, and enjoyable. And Richard's putting those links in chat as well. Canvassing trips to CD 13 are single-day trips, as the travel time is only an hour and a half to an hour for some of you. And when you sign up for those trips, you'll be contacted by the staging site manager. We don't need a concierge. We don't offer the overnight stays for CD 13. It's a day trip. We are offering Zoom training on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. starting January 9th. So you can learn how to use PDI, how to talk to voters for canvassing. All of that will be covered on Tuesday. But if you're unable to make the Tuesday training, we always have a training before we start voter reg drives and canvassing. And we also have phone banks. And we are starting the new year out strong. We are planning to replace George Santos with a Democrat in 2024. So we are offering phone banks starting December 27th. We're calling, of course, into New York 3. And we have, I'm so happy to announce this, we have a real special guest who has said she will be there at every phone bank. Jessica Craven, if you have heard of her, she writes an amazing newsletter. She will be kicking off our phone banks every Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. That's Pacific time. And again, Richard's putting the link for the phone banks in chat for you. And there's actually somebody else on this call. I was making the calls into New York 3 right before this. I had an amazing time. It was a blast. I really recommend that you make those calls because they are fun. I even called somebody who knew Tom very well, so we had a little chat. It was really fun. So last and definitely not least, I'm really happy to tell you about an event on January 23rd at 5:30 p.m. Heather Cox Richardson, historian and author and warrior for democracy, is going to be speaking at 5:30. So I hope that you can join us for this very special evening on Zoom. And those are all the ways that you can start the new year outright by getting engaged.
Judith, thank you so much. There's been a couple tech questions in the chat that I want to address. One question about vote forward letters and whether they would include voter registration type letters. We're only just getting in information about what the vote forward campaigns are going to look like next year. Swing Left National, which is why it's not a bigger feature of this meeting. I'm sure you'll hear all about it in January. They've mentioned a big goal of number of letters they want to write, 10 million letters. They haven't articulated exactly what that's going to look like. So tune back in January to find out the details of what letters will look like, but we will run, as we always, a big letter program is something that we're known for, and we'll run it again. So we'll have our distributed letter pickup system, and we'll run letter parties, and we'll answer questions and all that sort of stuff. There was also a question about texting. That's not really a specialty of ours, but we're certainly happy to refer people to places where they can join text banks if that's something you want to do. And then Judith, thank you for making it. I don't think that's ever been completely clear to me before, the difference between voter registration and canvassing. And so there are one-day voter registration trips to the areas that are closer to the Bay Area. And then there are very organized, including, where you're going to have dinner, where you're going to stay overnight, all that stuff, longer canvassing trips to areas that are further away, like the Tulare or Porterville that are 4 hours away. And then the phone banks that Judith mentioned, I just want to reiterate, those are the regular Wednesday phone banks that are run by our colleagues at the Bay Area Coalition, which is a coalition of lots of groups like Swing Left Peninsula in the Bay Area. So these are very experienced people running the phone banks, so you can feel good about joining them, and they plug into wherever they're needed, and now they're needed in NY3, so that's where the majority of the calls are going to be made in the next couple of months. And then I want to turn it over to Bruce. If you wouldn't mind, well, let's see, how should we do this? Let's see. Pamela has her hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and
I just asked Pamela to put her question in the chat.
Yeah, Pamela, maybe if you could put your question in the chat, or we are going to open it up to more of a discussion after the next item that Bruce is going to talk about. So let me turn it over to Bruce.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. So by now, I'm sure we all know in 2024, this coming year, we need to hold the House, the White House, and the Senate, and flip the House of Representatives. So nationwide, grassroots groups focus on important states, districts, and races. Swing Left Peninsula, that's us, will primarily be working in Nevada, Arizona, and California's congressional districts CD 13 and CD 22. We'll also be putting effort into special elections, such as New York number 3, which Judith just told us about, throughout the year as those come up. So we offer specific activities that help us win. We're probably all familiar with letter writing, making phone calls, canvassing, contributing money, raising money. So the more people that can actually help us organize the activities, the more effective we'll be. So we're asking you if you can help us encourage and coordinate volunteers, provide general organizational support, or perhaps host an event, to put your name, your email address in the chat, maybe with a sentence saying what you how you can help us out, and we'll get back to you. Examples include, say, arranging logistics for canvases, which could be carpools, housing, managing letter distribution, coaching phone bankers, organizing in-person events, leading fundraisers or supporting fundraisers, and then we work behind the scenes with promoting activities, managing data. So if you can help with those kinds of things, we really would like to know that. We're looking for people that have creativity, initiative, follow through, to help us bring victories in the Central Valley, Nevada, Arizona, and across the United States. So as I said, please put your name and email in the chat. A short sentence would be helpful, and we'll get back to you. Or you can send an email to us. That address is info@swingleftpeninsula.org. So thank you very much.
And I want to just follow on what Bruce just said. We've had hundreds of new people join Swing Left Peninsula in 2023, and there'll be more of an influx in 2024. And the more that we can translate that that influx into people actually trying out a canvas or joining a letter party or, you know, learning how to phone bank, the more effective we're going to be. And we need, in order to do that, we need more people talking to the people who are raising their hand and saying, yes, I want to help, to make sure that they actually get to their first event and get going. So with that, I'm now going to open it up for anyone's questions. You can consider this now the end of our formal program, and we like to take some time to hear back from you, discuss whatever you want to discuss, and have an open-ended answer question, either about what we just spoke about or anything else having to do with organizing. So if you want the floor, please go ahead and raise your hand with the raising your hand button.
Actually, I have
I
a
got
question.
one quick thing for you. We had a comment or a question in the chat. Is there a link for CD 13 canvassing events? Which is not a link I have handy. So I don't know if
Yes,
anyone else. Okay, great.
I will put them in chat.
That was it. Thanks.
Okay, Pamela, are you able to unmute yourself, Pamela, or does Judith, do you need to unmute? Okay, go ahead.
I'm with one of the leaders of Swing Left Durham, and I'm also an organizer with Grassroots STEMs HQ, and we're already doing the phone banks with NY3. So, and I dropped the link in there if you'd like to, and we would love to collaborate with as many other groups who would like to join those phone banks too.
Pamela, what days of the week are the phone banks?
Right now, it's going to be today, tomorrow, and then I think we start again on the 26th. So we'll probably be doing them almost every day of the week up until the election. So,
And this is for NY03, right? In February? Wow, every day. Wow, good for you. Wonderful.
So please email us at info@swingleftpeninsula.org. We absolutely, the more organizers we have, the more we can do.
Okay, I think that, oh yeah, someone says, please send out an email with all these links. Yes, it's our practice, and we will send out a post-meeting email that has the recording and all of the links that we've mentioned. And again, you can use that if you need to, or you're trying to get in touch with us and ask questions and so forth.